Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Toast Time podcast on the Vendetta Sports Media Network. Now we're gonna start the show a little differently today because apparently Trey said that it was a little boring my intro last time. So you know what? I'm not gonna ask anybody how you doing. You guys are doing fine. I'm saying you're doing fine, so you're fine. Okay. You know what? All right. So here we go. We're gonna get right into it. It was a pretty busy week this week in sports. A good amount to cover, a lot of material for me. Okay, first up, my buttery pick this week. The Baylor basketball team. I mean, how do you not pick them as buttery pick? They go and they absolutely demolished the previously undefeated Jags on national television. I think they ended up winning by almost 20. It was like 19 was by 19 was final score or something like that. It was, and like right from get, you knew that game was over for the Zags. They fell down like it was like a 10-0 run right out of the gate for Baylor. And I was, as I was watching it, I was like, wow, this game's already over. It was like 4 minutes into the game, thing was already over. Baylor was active on defense like crazy. They were swatting Gonzaga shots away like no tomorrow. They got Jalen Suggs into foul trouble really early in the game. Then Gonzaga just couldn't run the offense that they wanted to run. And also Baylor, they were just too tough and too big inside. Like the amount of offensive rebounds they were giving up was crazy. Like it almost seemed like no matter how many times Baylor missed on one possession, they'd have like endless chances to score the ball during that first half. It was really, they were just running a clinic on Gonzaga throughout like the first 10 minutes of the game. Gonzaga was out of it from the very start. I think probably a lot had to do with the UCLA game. Probably took a lot out of them going into overtime and having to win on a buzzer beater. So that probably took a lot out of them. But hey, credit to Baylor. They put up a great fight, and they're your national champions this year. So.
Yeah. Kudos to the Vendetta squad that did the stream way back before it started when we went through every individual matchup and we picked winners all the way to the national championship game. And we picked Baylor. That's who we had. So round of applause, Vendetta crew. Great job, everyone that was a part of that. I don't know if we unanimously picked. I'd have to go back and look, but obviously we had a majority pick Baylor to win. So, and even in our Vendetta thing, which I think I came in second in our bracket challenge, I had picked Baylor in there to win. But yeah, Baylor put on an absolute clinic. It was crazy to watch. I couldn't believe it, and for the fact that I made a promise with myself coming into this March Madness because I didn't want to take it for granted anymore. Almost just like once Baylor started pulling away, I was like, man, it's kind of boring now. Turn it off, go watch something else or do something else. But no, I made the promise with myself. I'm never taking sports March Madness for granted again. So I watched the whole thing, never know when that's going to be taken away again. And yeah, it was a clinic. And what you said about offensive rebounds, that's with their top two big men being in foul trouble for most of the night. Like both of them had, I think, like Baylor's big man had like 4 fouls with still like 10 minutes left in the game, which is crazy. And they ended up pulling out and being fine because Davion Mitchell, who's one of my favorite prospects to come out of this draft. Isaac Okoro was the guy last draft. Mitchell's the guy in this draft. Mitchell's the guy that I absolutely love. If he was to somehow slide to wherever the Grizzlies pick, if the Grizzlies don't make the playoffs and the Grizzlies hit well in the lottery and they move up and they could get Mitchell, I would love to do that because reminds me, like Okoro, reminds me a lot of Marcus Smart, and everybody needs that type of guy. But yeah, kudos to Baylor. Shout out to my boy Colin Whitney, whose family all went to Baylor, and he almost went to Baylor, but they're all big Baylor fans over there. So I'm sure the Whitney household was celebrating and screaming and tears of joy flowing. All right, so we'll go to my buttery pick, and I figured that one of us were going to choose Baylor had it not been, um, because I mean, come on, it was it was a good one. It was a great win, and was one of the biggest. Even though Baylor was really good, you can almost consider it an upset because the fact that the Zags were undefeated, and the Zags have like 4 dudes that are going to the NBA next season are going to be NBA players, which is crazy to think. So I had my backup ready, and my buttery pick this week, I'm going with Sam Darnold, who is now the QB of the Carolina Panthers. I could not be happier for this change in scenery for Sam. He is finally getting out of that god-awful organization that is the New York Football Jets. Not the Giants, but the Jets. It is an atrocious organization. This is assuming that they go with Zach Wilson. I think the statistic that I saw, I couldn't find it again. I just, heard it as I'm, through the week afterwards, listening to everything, trying to absorb the information in, that Zach Wilson if he's taken, will be the 12th starting quarterback in 10 years for the Jets. The Jets are just the Browns made over again. They are a joke of a franchise. Thankfully, finally, something breaks Miami's way, and the joke franchise is in their division now. So hopefully that's 2 wins each year. But, I mean, when you look at the offense and everything that he had to deal with last season, Sam Darnold, everyone on the offensive side of the ball that was supposed to support and help Sam Darnold all ranked in the bottom 10, individually, bottom 10 of their position. That's receivers. That's running back. That's offensive line. There's no way you can win with that. Adam Gase is a terrible coach, and he should never be a head coach ever again. Never let that man touch your franchise, okay? The Bears, he had some success as the QB coach with the Bears. Maybe he could be a QB coach again. Maybe he's just meant to be a QB coach. He can stay there and train the next Jay Cutler for all I care. And specifically, I love it for Sam Darnold because not just the fact that he's getting out of a bad situation, but he's probably going to the best situation for him that wouldn't be someone like the Indianapolis Colts, who Carson Wentz went to, and I was very happy about that. He's reuniting with Robbie Anderson, who the two of them really clicked in New York. Robbie left because even he realized, he's like, dude, love you, but this place sucks. I'm out. And so you've got the chemistry there. He's going to have DJ Moore, who's another great receiver. I think they're just maybe one offensive player away from that offense being tremendous. Christian McCaffrey, I mean, my goodness, you want to talk about a safety net. That is like the strongest safety net ever, where if you've literally got no one to throw it to, just dump it off to Christian McCaffrey. He's going to get 1,000 yards on the ground and 1,000 yards receiving. Man's going to, by himself get 2,000 yards from the line of scrimmage every year. And then, of course, Matt Rule, head coach, Joe Brady, offensive coordinator. People are super, super high on the two of them. Can't wait to see what the offense is going to look like now with a good quarterback. And then, of course, the number 8 pick that they have in the draft this year. They could go out, they could get a wide receiver, whoever's, left. It could be, if Jamar Chase goes first, then they could take Jalen Waddle or Devontae Smith. Whichever one of those guys isn't there, they have 2 other options. Or if Kyle Pitts somehow falls to 8, I doubt Kyle Pitts falls to 8, but if he does, then holy cow, then you really hit the lottery with that. Or they could take an offensive lineman. They've got a pretty decent offensive line right now, but you can take either Penei Sewell or Slater from Northwestern, depending on really who the Bengals take. Who's out of those two, whoever the Bengals take, then you've got the option to go grab the other one, and you can't go wrong with that. And they really need to focus on their offense in this draft, because literally last year's draft, they did not take a single offensive player. Every pick that they had in every round was a defensive guy. And then they went out and signed my boy Omar Bayless. Shout out Wolfpack or Red Wolves, hell yes, from A-State. Led the nation in touchdowns and receiving yards. Got to see him a bunch of times in person. Chill dude, met him on campus one time. But yeah, I just think that this is this is so great for Sam Darnold. All of us here at Vendetta have been supportive of him. We haven't bought into, we haven't jumped ship. We may be the only ones left on that ship. It's us and Colin Cowherd. We're like the only people left on the Sam Darnold ship, but this puppy's not sinking. Okay. This sucker's taking us to the new world. We're going to find El Dorado, the city of gold. And it's in Carolina, baby. That's where El Dorado is.
Listen, 110%. I couldn't be happier for Sam Darnold to finally get the hell out of Dodge. The Jets basically ruined his chance of even like being like a good quarterback with them. They never gave him a fair shot. Look at it. His best running back, I think, over the past 2 years was Frank Gore. Okay, mm-hmm. And we're not talking this, and this isn't 2011. This is 2020. Frank Gore was his best running back. Like,
yeah, Frank Gore's son is in college, like a sophomore, junior in college. Frank Gore.
It was terrible. Like, the whole situation was bad. The Jets could be perfectly described as this. So, for me, I call the Jets the deepest circle of hell. Okay. With Adam Gase, the Gase of hell, being the ringleader. So once they got him out of there,
it's the new circuit of hell that Dante never got to.
Dante never got there, and you know what? I'm sure he
thanks
his lucky stars every day that he never got there. It's the lowest circle of hell. Okay, and getting out of what we like to call the Gase of hell is just great for Sam Darnold. Going to Carolina with weapons. You have actual weapons around you, like you said before. DJ Moore, CMC. You actually have guys to play with. Oh, and Robbie Anderson, of course, who was Sam Darnold's favorite receiver. And this is going on a Jets organizational note. Just let Robbie Anderson walk when the dude was by far your best receiver. They just let him walk, and that was it. They didn't even try to keep him. So I'm happy Darnold and Anderson are back together, and it'd be great for the Panthers to go and play the Jets and Darnold to just absolutely torch them. Cannot wait for whenever that game rolls around. But I think Darnold's going to have a great year, and he's gonna make a name for himself.
I'll say this real quickly before we move on to Darnold is only 23 years old. The dude's younger than I am. Okay,
younger than me.
He is young. Okay, he is a baby when it comes to being an NFL quarterback. It feels like he's been in the NFL for like 5 or 6 years, but no, he is relatively young. And then the Panthers pick up his 5th-year option, so he's there for 2 years. He's going to have this year to learn the offense. Next season is going to be the big make or break season for him, I think. And when you look at the division, Bruce Arians will probably retire in the near future. Man's old. He's up there in age. Who knows what's going to happen with Tom Brady? I'm never going to count out Tom Brady until Tom Brady is out. You just can't. They're running it back with their entire Super Bowl roster. So obviously can't count him out this year. But then also in that same division, you've got the Atlanta Falcons, who are the Atlanta Falcons. They're going to suck this year. And then you've got New Orleans that's starting to trend towards a rebuild. So in 2 years' time, by the time it's time for his 5th year in the league after picking up his 5th-year option and going to be a contract year for Sam Darnold, that division's winnable.
Very.
And that's all you need to do. You could be 9-7. You could be like the Washington football team and win 6-7 games and get into the playoffs. But guess what? You're in the playoffs. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Anything can happen from there. Just ask your Giants.
We almost made
Or are
it.
they
We were
like 10?
6-10. We almost made it. We were 6-10.
Yeah. Well, even like in your Super Bowl, like the Super Bowl, your Super Bowl wins. What were you like 10-6 those years?
Oh God, we were not
9-7.
2011, we won the division by one game. We were 10 that year. We were 10-6. 2007, we were 9-7. We had the last wild card spot.
See, there you go. 9-7, and you end up winning the Super Bowl because you catch hot at the right time. That's all you got to do is just get to the playoffs.
Hey, that's it. Go to the playoffs and make magic happen on the field. So, I think Sam Darnold's gonna have a bright future down there. They'll love him. It'll be perfect. I just advise anybody to really get the hell out of the Jets, the Jets organization. But anyway, let me stop ripping the Jets. Moving on to my burnt toast is the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Now, I say this because Gonzaga, in my opinion, and I've seen this circulating, and you know what? It's pretty true. Gonzaga has become the Notre Dame of college football, of college basketball, should I say. To where how many times did we go through this with Gonzaga and Notre Dame? They're like a top 5 team every year. You know, they get to where the pressure is most high, and when that's either the college football playoff or March Madness tournament, and they just shit the bed. Like in this case with Gonzaga, how many times in recent years have we seen Gonzaga reach the Elite Eight, Final Four, countless times, and they just keep losing over and over and over again. They never get over the hump. This year was probably one of their best shots in a long time to get over that hump. They just couldn't do it. They just faced a Baylor team that was just too big, too strong. You're straight bullies. Like, you know, it is what it is. But I think when it comes time for Gonzaga to think about moving out of their conference, they are too good to be playing in the West Coast Conference. Like, you want to make your guys, you know, have your guys have a good schedule and play teams that'll really make them better. Move them out of the conference and give yourself an opportunity. Move move to the Pac-12 or something like that. You know, you gotta. I just think they just gotta play better teams, because beating up on the West Coast, beating up on St. Mary's every year, I'm sorry, but that ain't just gonna prove to me that you're this great team. And it just sucks because they had that whole undefeated season thing going on them. And I honestly sat there before the game and I was thinking about it, and I was like, Baylor already has 2 losses. I think that's a hell of a lot better position to be in than be sitting there at 34-0. Because once you start getting to that point where you're one game away from capping off an undefeated season, that's just the extra added pressure that you really don't need. Think about it from Baylor's standpoint. They're not undefeated. They're not worrying about that. They're just trying to win the national championship. Gonzaga, on their mind, they're we're trying to win the national championship, be an undefeated team, all this other stuff. I think it was just too much for them. And I think at this point we have to be calling Gonzaga the Notre Dame of college basketball. It's just it's come to that time. It's come to that time. I mean, how many times am I going to see Gonzaga in the Final Four and the national championship, and they're going to keep losing? So, but hey, they're gonna keep getting there. So, take it for what it's worth.
Yeah,
they never win, but they'll keep getting
like how Notre Dame, always seems to make it to the college football playoff, and then they get blown out by 30 points by an Alabama or a Clemson or Ohio State, which are the other 3 teams that are always making
which are the other 3 teams that are always there.
Yeah, it's always Clemson, Alabama, and Ohio State, and a revolving door of Georgia and Notre Dame. That's about it. Those are the 5 teams that are always making it into the college football playoff. But yeah, it's surprising when you think that a prestigious organization like the Zags are in a conference like what they're at. They're not in a bigger conference. Imagine, I'm trying to think of a lower division that's on the East Coast. Imagine if someone like Duke was not in a Power 5 conference.
Exactly.
and like I get it because Duke also has like a big football program, like obviously nothing close to what their their basketball program is, but Duke's had some successful years in the past in D1 football. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. It's just that or like Alabama, prestigious football program, and they're in the South. They're in the Sun Belt Conference. They're not in the SEC. It's just it's odd. And there is something too. I know there was a bit of a conversation that was going on in the college hoops Slack. I think Carl and Alex were kind of going back and forth because Alex was along the same thing. And it's like they need to get out of that division. But Carl's like, oh, it's a good division though. There's like good teams in there. And it's like, but they may be good teams, but they're not the best teams.
No.
And you can say all you want about a good out of conference schedule, which was a little bit weird this year because of COVID.
You couldn't really have an out of conference schedule.
And it was all based on what your state would allow you to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Gonzaga was supposed to play Baylor, but then of course we didn't get that because Baylor game was canceled because Baylor was in COVID protocols. So we didn't get a preview of the national title game. Maybe the Zags are still undefeated. Maybe they aren't coming in, and maybe that pressure's not on their shoulders coming into the tournament. And maybe they play a bit looser and they play a bit better down the stretch. I don't know. That's just speculation. But yeah, it's fair to call them the Notre Dame of college basketball. When you get that far and you get so close and you continue to fail over and over again, comparisons are going to be made. And what's the one comparison in college that you can make? It is Notre Dame.
Yep.
Absolutely 110% Notre Dame. They will always let you down because they have the opportunity to let you down. All right, so my burnt and by an extension extra crispy come with caveats because it's something that hasn't happened yet, but they're based around heavy rumors to the point where if they do happen, then I will absolutely unload on them. And they're both NFL teams. So if it happens in the same week, I may not have a burnt. I may just go all extra crispy that week. Okay. Depending on how the draft goes, Miami will probably be the buttery pick on the draft week when that happens. But if this happens with these two teams, my burnt and extra crispy, then it is going to be a fiery episode from me. But my burnt pick this week, it's going to be the San Francisco 49ers if they draft Mac Jones with the number 3 pick.
I had this thought in my mind before we started. I switched to something else, but go ahead because I was already thinking about this. Go ahead.
Listen. Okay, and I have to say this is not an indictment of Mac Jones. Okay, the Duke can obviously ball. You don't win national titles if you don't have it. Okay. The only exception I would say is Jalen Hurts, and it's because not even Nick Saban had a good feeling when it came time in a pressure situation of rolling with Jalen Hurts or rolling with freshman Tua that hadn't seen the field that season. He's like, put the freshman out there. Hasn't touched a football. Hasn't seen the field.
10 passes later, you win the national championship.
Exactly.
Wow, that was fast.
Exactly. So Jalen Hurts is not in this conversation. Okay. And Mac Jones had a great season, but kind of like a thing that all Alabama quarterbacks struggle with when they leave Alabama and go to the pros. And I'm even citing Tua on this, is that you don't have the best players in college football. So there's a bit of an extra learning curve there. And, and I believe in Tua. I think Tua is going to be great, but he's got a very difficult road ahead of him. Hopefully we see some growth this year. But I'm so confused where the Mac Jones hype train came from. I feel like he's not as mobile as all the other quarterbacks that you would consider like the top 5 in the draft, which would be, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, and then Mac Jones, and then depending on your preference, you can, move that around. I think Justin Fields is probably QB number 2. I only put him second because he's probably going second to the Jets. But I don't think he's as good of a prospect as any of those other 4 guys. I feel like Mac Jones is the 5th best. And I don't see why you would give up all those picks. You gave up 2 first-round picks and a 3rd-round pick to move. They gave up a hefty price to move from 12 to 3. And you're going to take Mac Jones when Justin Fields is going to be on the board? More than likely, because, again, that's assuming that we know for a fact pick 1 is Trevor Lawrence. Like, if the only way that I will not have these 2 teams up here is if the Jags, for some odd reason, do not take Trevor Lawrence with the number 1 overall pick. But that is just assume that that's going to happen. And then Zach Wilson, assuming now with Darnold gone, is the number 2 pick. I don't see how you don't take Justin Fields. Literally everybody was correctly saying that Justin Fields was QB2 coming into this draft. And now all of a sudden it's just like, I don't know, that Trey Lance guy is pretty good. Have you seen Mac Jones? It blows my mind. And I do not see if you are this has to be some sort of smokescreen. It has to be. I refuse to believe that you traded up and gave such a hefty price for Mac Jones, a guy that would have been there at 12.
Yeah.
Like, you literally would not have had to trade up for Mac Jones. Okay. With Mac Jones, you're basically getting a younger version of Jimmy Garoppolo. You're not upgrading like you would be with the Justin Fields. Now, it wouldn't be an upgrade in year 1 per se, but give Justin Fields a year in that Shanahan offense to learn it. Do what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. Exactly. Patrick Mahomes is an MVP. He's won a Super Bowl. He still said he's a year behind Alex freaking Smith. That's not an indictment on Alex Smith either. I thought he's a pretty good quarterback. And he's got a good resume. But what we could be seeing groomed right now is one of the greatest quarterbacks ever in the history of the NFL, sat a year behind Alex freaking Smith.
Yep.
You can take Justin Fields and sit him a year behind Jimmy freaking Garoppolo and then move off of Garoppolo, let Fields get comfortable in that system. And then you're going to be rolling Fields out there in a Kyle Shanahan offense with a team that's going to be 2-3 years removed from making it to a Super Bowl, pretty much intact. Hopefully everybody's healthy. Hopefully you've added more talent by then. Then you're back in Super Bowl contention then. You're not really with Mac Jones. And I think Mac Jones could succeed in that, but your ceiling hasn't improved any with Mac Jones over it would with a prospect like Justin Fields. You know more of what you're getting with Mac Jones, probably, I guess, than you do with Justin Fields, but the potential with Justin Fields and the ceiling with Justin Fields, much higher than what it's going to be with Mac Jones. Do not see how you can justify taking Mac Jones here with that hefty of a price that you gave up. And they will be super burnt, extra crispy, burning the entire block down if they take Mac Jones over Justin Fields.
Yeah, the Niners, personally, I think that the whole Mac Jones hype for like the Niners taking him at 3, I think that that's all baloney. I really do. I don't believe that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch really sat down and were like, yo, listen, we want Mac Jones, but damn, we need that 3rd pick because we don't think he's going to be there at 12. Like, no, please don't do that. I love me some Mac Jones. Everyone knows I love Alabama. I'm an Alabama fan. I got no problems with Mac Jones. Love Mac Jones. However, he's not the 3rd pick. Okay. You would, at that spot, you're going to have 2 quarterbacks a lot better than Mac Jones in Fields and Lance. I think the Niners are going to do this. I think the Niners are going to go. I really believe that the Niners are going to go Trey Lance at 3, and they'll sit him a year behind Jimmy, kick Jimmy to the curb next year, and then let Trey Lance take over in his year 2 when he didn't have to play. He just sat and learned the offense the whole year. That's what I think they're going to do. Now, I know exactly what you mean because I've been watching like NFL Network like all week, and it's just like the Mac Jones train just came out of nowhere. And they're like, oh, Kyle Shanahan was at the pro day at Alabama watching Mac Jones and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I mean, does that really mean anything? I mean, there's coaches all over the place. Like it doesn't mean nothing. But I also did hear like some like through the grave mind that Nick Saban said that Kyle Shanahan actually did not ask him anything about Mac Jones. So in my mind, I'm just thinking that there's no way the Niners could take Mac Jones at 3. But I will tell you this. I will be right on that extra crispy train of yours if draft comes around and they get Mac Jones, okay, with the 3rd pick, because that will just be an absolute disaster. Gave up a ridiculous amount for some guy you could have got where you were originally. So I fully believe you on that one. So anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh, one more thing about Mac Jones. When you were saying how he's not that mobile of a quarterback, just a little thing. Okay, he made a throw during his pro day and then like muttered to himself, and he was like, yeah, I'm a statue, right? I just thought that was funny.
Oh, you made a throw when there were no 300-pound defensive linemen coming at you.
I thought that was a little funny. He made a throw and he's like, I'm a statue, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
he's
see what happens when if he does get drafted. Let's see what happens when it's JJ Watt and Chandler Jones bearing down on you twice a year in that division, or Aaron Donald. Just okay, sure, whatever, dude.
All right, guys.
Be like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah, exactly. He kind of will. I mean, he doesn't have Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle to throw to.
Exactly.
But all right, guys, we're gonna take a quick break here. Hear a word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
The following broadcast is brought to you in association by XP Coffee Company. XP Coffee Company is the fresh brewed coffee made for gamers by gamers. Get amazing flavors like Choco Loco in 8, 12, or 16-ounce bags, or level up and get Illusion, Isolation, Nightmare, or the Majestic Throne blends in light, medium, or dark roast in whole bean, coarse French press, drip, or fine espresso in 12-ounce, 16-ounce, or 2-pound bags. Wow! Shipping worldwide. If you're in the U.S., go to usa.xpcoffee.co. If you're in Europe or in the U.K., go to www.xpcoffee.co. XP Coffee Company, for gamers, by gamers.
All right, guys, welcome back. Now, moving on to my extra crispy this week. This is a special. It's an extra crispy special. You know why it's a special? Because it's a continuation of last week. We're getting last week's leftovers this week. Okay. I'm somebody who loves leftovers, and I especially love when my leftovers decide to season themselves up with some salt, some pepper, throw some rosemary on themselves, and they throw themselves back in the oven. It's like I got a fresh new meal. Now, what I'm talking about
me hungry now.
is Michael Rappaport going and literally just giving me all the more material that I freaking need. Okay, he jumps on Undisputed with Shannon and Skip. Okay, and he's crying on national television because Kevin Durant was mean to me. Like, bro, you are a grown ass man. Okay, you're really gonna cry on national television because Kevin Durant was coming and wanted to fight you in your DMs. Are you kidding me? He's going like, I just couldn't believe what I'm seeing. And Michael Rappaport pretends to be this freaking tough guy from New York and all this crap. I cannot stand the man. I really can't. I also can't stand why he's so involved in like sports shows. Like, why these sports shows just keep bringing him on bothers me so much. It really kills me. It was actually funny too, because earlier this week I was watching like reruns of Friends, and I seen an episode where Michael Rappaport was on it, and it just got me pissed off. I'm like, this fucking fairy shit, like you asshole. Like, this is, oh my god, like, it's just so terrible. And I just can't believe that this man really got up there and he goes, here's one part that really blew my mind. This is I'm paraphrasing here. I don't know exactly word for word. He goes, I went down to the coffee shop and they looked at me and they said, not today, herpes lips. And I'm like, what? Nobody would say that to you, you idiot. Like they'll just give you your coffee. Oh, and then the other one. I'm sorry, this one just really bothered me too. I was walking my dog, and nobody wanted to come up and pet my dog anymore because because of all the shit Kevin Durant said to me. I said, bro, come on, dude, you're a grown ass man, bro. What are you doing?
Oh my gosh, that's. I don't even know what to say, dude. Like, first off, like you're in New York. I don't know how it is in New York with the masks and everything. I would assume that there's still like a pretty. Is there still a mask mandate in New York
yeah,
right
absolutely.
now?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't.
So how the heck are you gonna know that that's the Michael Rappaport
You're not.
that has been feuding with Kevin Durant? And also like basketball is a really popular sport. Like I get that, but not everybody in New York is following what Kevin Durant is saying, and not everybody in New York is following. So it's just like people don't want to pet your dog because we're in the middle of a freaking pandemic and you're in one of the most populated areas in the United States where literally was an epicenter of death this time a year ago. Like it's crazy. Go like it, like I couldn't believe the stuff I was seeing on TV that was coming out in New York. Like literally there's like piling body bags in the back of a freaking truck because they're out of room because people are dying in the hundreds every minute. That's why people don't want to come and pet your dog. And it's just he's just like is work for him so bad that this is what he's got to beg for attention for? Like sure, you could say Kevin Durant should have used that language, but Rappaport didn't have to put him on blast either. He didn't have to put the DMs on blast. He's the one that brought it out into the public. This is every bit of scrutiny is his own fault because he brought a private conversation out into the public to try and garner attention and sympathy for him, and it backfired.
Backfired very badly.
And so now he goes crying to his friend Skip Bayless, let me on your show so I can stay relevant some more. It's just whatever, dude.
Supposed to be a big tough guy, and he's crying on national television because Kevin Durant.
Again, the least of the Rappaports in the world.
100%.
We stand Ian here.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
even though Ian can get some things wrong sometimes, but
of course
it's okay.
Man,
let's go.
All right.
All right.
Sorry. We should on Michael.
Yeah. All right. So my extra crispy, like I said before the break and before I gave my burnt, is again an NFL team that if they do something, then I'm going to be very angry and be putting them on blast. The time we record this show after the draft, it is the Atlanta Falcons. If they do not take a quarterback at 4,
yeah.
All right. So, and I know a lot of people saying they're going to go Kyle Pitts, and Kyle Pitts is, I mean, without a doubt, the second best player in this draft. You go Trevor Lawrence 1 for what he's going to do to your franchise. Kyle Pitts is right behind him just from the fact that he's a freak of nature. I mean, the guy has like the biggest wingspan of any tight end in combine history, and is like ran what, like a 4.45, 4.5, something like that. Yeah. Dude's wicked fast, wicked strong, wicked tall. It's just literally a freak of nature. He's freaking awesome. I hope Miami takes him at 6. Like, honestly, I've convinced myself for Miami to take him at 6 if he's there. But Matt Ryan is old, okay? He's old. He's washed. He's donezo. He should not be your number 1 quarterback. The only reason why Matt Ryan should see the field this year is because the Falcons take a quarterback at 4 and they want to groom him. If it's Trey Lance, you take Trey Lance because he's going to need some work. He's a prospect. He didn't throw too much, but the tools and the skill set is there for him to succeed. If it's Trey Lance or Mac Jones that goes at 3, and Justin Fields, a kid from your backyard that's there, that went to Georgia, but he didn't get the starting job, so he's like, I'm going to go off to Ohio State and ball, and did. If he's available, oh, you are going to get burnt, my friend. Burnt if you pass on Justin Fields. So kind of in a similar situation for what the 49ers are. But what does adding Kyle Pitts right now do? What's the point in adding offensive talent like Kyle Pitts when you've got a quarterback that's not going to get it to him more than 5 yards down the field to where he can make any sort of significant impact? Okay. Matt Ryan, he can't do it anymore, man. And you're wasting prime years of Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
You're wasting like the latter prime years of Julio Jones. You've got decent offensive weapons. You need a quarterback right now. I know it's tough to pass on a sure thing like Kyle Pitts, but you're never going to be relevant or do anything if you don't fix that quarterback situation. Quarterback is the first thing you got to fix, and then you got to build around him. Okay. But then if you suck at your job, then you're going to get a Sam Darnold situation where you draft a good quarterback, but then you fail to put anything around him because you're Adam Gase. So Falcons, don't Falcon this. Okay. I know it's hard for you because you're the Atlanta Falcons. You're used to doing things like this. All Atlanta sports are used to doing things one way. Okay. You almost got a taste of victory of that sports immortality, but then you choked it away. It's time to move on. It's a new era. You don't want that stain. Draft your next quarterback now, because next year's quarterback class is looking pretty barren. You don't know who's going to be on the market, and beyond next year, you really don't know what the prospects are going to look like. There hasn't been a Trevor Lawrence that's walked in so far, freshman, and be like, that guy's good. Yeah. He's already NFL ready. It sucks for us because we got to wait 2 years for him to be eligible for the draft. There's no one like that in college football right now. So, and you don't know what it's going to be like. And you don't know if you move off of Matt Ryan and you get like a transition quarterback and you actually do fairly decent because you've built a decent team. You just don't have a quarterback to elevate you enough. And then you're not high enough in the draft where you miss out on the next generation of great quarterbacks, which is, and they may never be in the spot again. Take the quarterback.
Yeah. Listen, everyone knows this. Football quarterback is the first position you should be worrying about. And Matt Ryan, it's been a very long time since he won that MVP. I mean, I think it was 2012, right? When he won, I think he won. Yeah, he won the MVP in 2012. Okay, it's 2021. That was 9 years ago. Matt Ryan is not that same guy anymore. You guys had a great run with him. You know, you went to the Super Bowl, playoffs a bunch of times. Like, you know, yada yada yada. It was a nice run, but end of the day, you need a quarterback. Don't F it up. Take the best available quarterback at 4. I know Kyle Pitts is like a shiny new toy that you would love to have. And I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, you know, not for nothing, but that Atlanta offense would be pretty good. Well, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts. I said, damn, they'd be pretty good. But then you'd have to have Matt Ryan get them the ball.
It's all for naught if you don't have a good quarterback.
Exactly. You'd have to have Matt Ryan get them the ball, which, you know, the guy's at an age where it just probably isn't going to happen. So
like a perfect example is the Pittsburgh Steelers this past year. They have good offensive weapons, but they had Ben Roethlisberger as their quarterback.
Yep, exactly. Now Big Ben ain't slinging it down the field with a no.
He ain't no spring chicken no more.
Yeah, it's not 2005 no more, buddy. Come on, man. It ain't just it don't work like that. So, hey, the Atlanta Falcons, they just got to go and get the next available quarterback there. I personally think it'll be Justin Fields, to be honest. So, that'd be just it would just work out to be like one of those perfect story things. You get the hometown kid. You can sit him behind Matt Ryan for a year, and you know what? Like, is there's really anybody to sit behind for a year and like learn about the NFL, it definitely would be a former MVP in Matt Ryan. So, don't mess it up is all I'm gonna say here. Now, moving on to the toast of the week this week. I know I've been giving this team a lot of praise this year. I haven't really been jumping down their throat. And you know what? It like they're still in the playoff hunt. Not even in the playoff hunt. The season ended today. They'd be in the playoffs. But that game the other night against the Brooklyn Nets was terrible. The New York Knicks choked their life away.
Mm-hmm.
And what, man, it's just like, I know damn well that the Nets have world's better talent than the Knicks. I know that. Okay, Julius Randle, he can't do it all himself. I mean, the Julius Randle had a freaking monster triple-double, and they still couldn't win. Not his fault. He did everything he could. The ball just didn't roll their way. Nets end up coming out with that game, which they really should have never have. But even so, after the All-Star break, the Knicks have gotten off to a pretty slow start this month. It hasn't been too great. They slid a little bit. Now that's just because they're playing a really tough schedule the second half of the year. But I still believe in the team that they can make it to the playoffs, and that's what their focus should be. But this week, you're going to be my toast of the week because you choked away a game. Now, see, his thing, if it was the same old Knicks and you sucked and choked this game away, honestly, you probably would have slid under my radar. But you know what? You guys are good this year. So, or I wouldn't say good, but you're decent this year. So you choke away a game to an in-town rival. And by in-town, I mean the Barclays Center and MSG are maybe a 25-minute drive if you are lucky enough to have no traffic that day. And let me tell you, ain't nobody that lucky. So, but you can jump on the subway. It'll probably take you like less than an hour to get to the Barclays. But in terms of mileage, it's not far at all. But still, just beat the Nets. Just beat the Nets. If the Knicks play the Nets in the playoffs, I would be so happy. I'm not even a Knicks fan, but I'd be so happy if the Knicks managed to beat the Nets in a 7-game series. Oh, that'd make my day. Make my whole year. I wouldn't even care if the Lakers got eliminated in the first round. I'd be so happy. I really wouldn't even I wouldn't care. Literally not an ounce. I wouldn't care at all. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, it's tough for the Knicks, and especially this year with the NBA, where it's the 8th and 7th seed are playing games. Like, if you're not the 6th seed or above, then you got to play an extra game or two to secure your playoff spot, which, it is what it is, I guess. It's, of course, the Grizzlies, and rebuilding and ahead of their rebuild and in playoff hunt, it's just, they can't just get the 8th seed. No, they have to play extra, where people get hurt and things happen and it's one game. And, maybe they're off that game. They were off the game last year. And they'll probably be off their game this year when that time rolls around. I'm sure of it. But, yeah, one game definitely means the difference for those bottom teams. And that's a tough pill to swallow if you're a Knicks fan. So my toast of the week, I'll actually come back to the NBA here in a minute with my prediction. But my toast of the week, it's kind of like a personal vendetta. We're called vendetta for a reason. And I have my own personal vendetta against this man for my toast of the week. The man in question, his name is Chad Morris. Now, the name may or may not sound familiar to some people, but I'll tell you who he is. First gained notoriety as the head coach of SMU. Took a program that basically had been down in the dumps since the time of O.J. Mayo and brought them back into somewhat winning. Although it's their new coach now is the one that's actually turned them into a really good squad. So Chad Morris does a decent enough job. He convinces one school from the Southeastern Conference, the University of Arkansas, to give that man a fat with a PH, fat check to come and coach for the University of Arkansas. The man wins about 4 or 5 games in his 3-year tenure with the Hogs. Does not win an SEC game. Loses to teams like San Jose State, North Texas, loses to Western Kentucky, and Western Kentucky's quarterback was a transfer from Arkansas from the previous year. It was I think his name was Brandon Allen. Transfers from Arkansas to Western Kentucky, rolls into Fayetteville on the hill, beats Arkansas. And believe it or not, that was Allen's first win in Fayetteville.
Oh my God.
He did not win in Fayetteville the previous year as a starter. And then he rolls in with Western Kentucky and wins a game. It was bad. We were down bad. We were down bad. I'm pretty sure we ended up with like one of those years we lost to Alabama by like 40. We were down bad. It was rough. So yeah. And in fact, when now head coach Sam Pittman won his first SEC game, it was the first SEC game Arkansas had won since Brett Bielema was head coach. We went through a full coach, like 3 years without a win in the SEC. Losing to teams like Vanderbilt, it was sad. And Kentucky, it was so sad. So sad.
God.
Literally the bottom of the barrel of the SEC.
You lost to Vanderbilt 3.
Yeah.
Tell me you lost to Vanderbilt 3 times in 3 years.
Not 3 times. I think they only played them once in his 3-year tenure.
Okay, that's
but still, like, it's one too many. It might as well have been 3 losses to Vanderbilt. That's how it feels. You lose to Vanderbilt once, it doesn't matter how many times you beat them. You could beat them 100 years in a row. You still lost to Vanderbilt that one time. Well, then we finally wise up and fire him. But of course, contracts for bad college coaches are the greatest thieves in the world because their contracts are fully guaranteed, and the only way you can be free of them before their time runs out is if the boosters pay the man his tens of millions of dollars that he's owed left. Gets a job as the offensive coordinator for Auburn. Auburn's offense was garbage this past year. Bo Nixon, awful quarterback. Auburn was terrible this year. And part of the reason was Chad Morris. He was part of the blame. Most of the blame. Not all of it, but definitely a lot of it because he was the play caller. He was the offensive play caller.
I love it.
Well, now it's not necessarily rock bottom for the man because it's still a decent gig that he's got. But he has gone in 2 years from a college head coach to now his new job at a high school in Texas.
Wow.
He is the toast of the week because in 2 years he went from coaching a D1 SEC program to high school. Now it's a high school in Texas. I forget the name. I couldn't find it. And it's a pretty big one because it turns out a lot of decent recruits, good big recruits. That like Texas, Oklahoma, and Allen High School. That's it. Thank you, Courtney. So it's a big program, and Texas takes college or high school football very seriously.
Oh yeah, they like it more than college football.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, and it's like the number of stars. Like they've got like 8-9 star like high school programs there. And it's like I didn't even know the stars went that high.
Yeah.
But or A's, whatever it is that you use to division off high school. I think in Arkansas it's like 2A, 3A, 6A, stuff like that.
Up here in New York, it's single, double, triple A.
Yeah. Well, it's like the best way to describe some of these Texas high schools. They might as well be colleges. That's how big they are.
Much.
Little Rock High School is the biggest one for us. Obviously, it's a 6A school, but it could probably be technically like a 7A school. Like that's how big it is. It's pretty much a community college campus. That's how huge that school is. But I think it's what the man deserves for what he did, for what he turned Arkansas into. Arkansas is the laughingstock that it is because of that man. At least with Brett Bielema, there's a couple memorable moments, like a 3 overtime thrilling victory in Oxford against Ole Miss with the Hail Henry, one of the greatest plays. At least we were turning out NFL prospects at that time, at least on the defensive side of the ball. Which, of course, the program has never been the same. I was very sad because the other day was the anniversary of Bobby Petrino's motorcycle accident that forever changed the course of the Arkansas football program.
Might as well say that's you could call it the Bobby Petrino curse. The second that accident happened, Arkansas football was never the same.
Like when you look at historical, like terrible events that precede years of horror, this is up there with like the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, okay, that kicked off World War I. Okay, this is our assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Okay, nothing has ever been the same, and it's only been bad since that moment in history.
There's a theory that I had. It was kind of a joke back when Bobby Petrino did get into that accident. I mean, no jokes about getting into an accident, but I was in high school, so I tell jokes. I was in high school. I was saying that that Nick Saban was not happy with the progression that Arkansas was having. He's like, I don't like the fact that they're getting up there in the ranks. So Nick Saban screwed with his bike and made him get into that accident.
Planted the mistress that he had
there. Exactly. Planted the mistress on the bike.
A wreck with.
Yep.
Yeah. It was tough, man, because
tough.
literally ever since then, Arkansas has been the laughingstock of the SEC, of college football in general.
I mean, it used to be Vanderbilt, and unfortunately now it's you guys.
Yeah. On the bright side, though, 4 wins this past season in the SEC.
Hey, listen, making progress. It's all. Hey, can't get any worse than 0 wins. So literally
cannot get any worse than what we were under Chad Morris.
Get any worse than what you were.
Literally,
it can only go up from here. Hey, what do I always say? Stocks always go up. So
yeah,
you gotta go up eventually, right? All right. So coming up, we're gonna take another quick break here, and then we come back. We'll wrap up the show and get you guys rolling.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. In case you hadn't heard, your favorite Renegade Sports Media Group has its own Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media to support our efforts to continuously bring you sports, gaming, and other media coverage as only we can. We've got 4 different membership tiers. For $3 a month, we'll give you a simple thank you on our Patreon site. For $6 a month, you get a thank you, and you get to become a recruit in Jackson Law's Vendetta University Gaming Series. For $10 a month, you get everything from the previous tiers, a special thank you at the end of our videos, free access to our upcoming Discord chat, and a free koozie after 4 months. And then the big dog, $50 a month, gets you everything from the previous tiers, as well as opportunities for Fantasy League invites, stream gaming, possible invites to mock NFL and NBA draft sessions, a once-a-month Google Hangout, and after 4 months, a free t-shirt. Yeah! Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media and help us to improve our pledge to bring you the best sports, gaming, and other media coverage.
My soggy toast this week is going to be a man that, well, I haven't heard this guy's name all year long. The only reason I've been hearing about him is because his brother was doing great until he got hurt. And that's Lonzo Ball, big baller brand. I just was thinking about, I don't know why I was thinking about like big baller brand the other day. Like I used to like make fun of that so much. Like I had so much fun with that. Just like the whole LeVar Ball persona that he basically cast upon Lonzo. Now, I feel bad for Lonzo because when he was with the Lakers, I was a Lonzo believer. I really was. I always like he was never like I already knew he was never going to be the type of offensive point guard that that they have floating around the NBA now, like Steph Curry, John Morant. He was never going to be that type of guy. I already knew that. But he played great defense and he always managed to find the open guy. So, you know what? I really couldn't fault him for that. I was a huge Lonzo guy. I was actually a little sad when he left. When they traded him, but obviously not too sad because I got Anthony Davis, so that helped. That helped a little bit. But I have Lonzo Ball, man. He's been struggling this year now, like to the point where the Pelicans are trying to trade him. They ended up not trading him, so now he's just kind of like caught in this like limbo. It's like my team wanted to trade me like again, and they didn't. So now I don't know where I really fit
again.
Like now I don't know really what to do. Honestly, in my opinion, I think Lonzo should just fulfill your father's prophecy and just go play with your brother in Charlotte. That would probably be the best thing. Because man, oh man, I'll tell you right now, that boy LaMelo is nice. Okay.
Oh
he
yeah.
He got hurt. So they said there's a possibility he may come back, but we'll see about that. But I just think Lonzo should just go to Charlotte, man. Find your way there. It looks like they're actually on the up and up. This might be the first time I've seen Charlotte. Not even Charlotte, that I've seen the Hornets name in the playoffs since when Chris Paul was there with the Hornets playing Kobe Bryant's Lakers in the first round.
Since they were the Oklahoma City Hornets for 1 year. because of Hurricane Katrina, they displacing them. Which was what, 2004, 2005, something like
2000, 2006, I think Katrina was.
All right, 2006. Yeah, back when George Bush was president. That's how long it's been.
It's been quite a while. So, hey, it's funny because he'll a little, the Hornets used to be in New Orleans. Now they're over. Now they're back in Charlotte. So Lonzo just do that. Just leave the New Orleans Pelicans and go to the Hornets, man. Go make a name for yourself, or you can go and complete the Ball brothers and make your dad happy. Although I, for one, am very glad we haven't heard from LeVar Ball in like 2 years. Although he was pretty funny though, I will say that. It was like there were times where I thought he was funny and times where I thought he was really annoying, and I wanted him off my TV and my Twitter feed. Like he was gonna beat Michael Jordan in a 1-on-1.
Oh my God.
In a game to 11 nothing. Undefeated, never lost.
But yeah, I was telling my wife yesterday, because a lot of tickets are starting to be on sale at the FedEx Forum, and I thought about us maybe trying to go catch a game this season, because believe it or not, actually the last game we got to go see the Grizzlies play, it was against the Hornets. It was just 2019, so that was cool though. It was like Devontae Graham's like breakout season, so he balled that game. He did pretty well. Grizzlies ended up winning that. It's always nice to take. My wife was really pregnant at the time, and it was around her birthday, so we chowed down on Wingstop, which is
nice.
One of the best wing places that I've ever eaten at. And they've got it in the Forum, so that was super fun. But I want to go back next season. Because stadiums supposedly are going to be at full capacity, and we'll be full. Both of us will be completely vaccinated. So if there's any, restrictions on that, got that cleared out of the way. But I want to go see the Hornets play because I want to see LaMelo Ball play in person. I was high on him coming into the draft, and my goodness, has he been playing great?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because of his injury, Anthony Edwards is probably going to get Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And that dude doesn't even like playing basketball. He'd rather rap, and even openly admitted he plays basketball because he's good at it.
He plays basketball because he's better at it than football, but he loves football.
Yeah.
But he can also rap. But he can also rap too. He had to make that known right before the draft.
So we'll go to my soggy toast real quick, and I kind of put it in here for parity's sake because we haven't really got to talk much baseball this year, and I'm trying to be better at baseball. I honestly have watched a ton of baseball over the past couple of weeks. Like I've really been in tune. If I haven't been able to watch it, I've had like on my computer, on my phone, I'm like regularly checking everything that's going on in the world of baseball. So I'm still like, this is the year that it's like to learn names, to, you know, who's good, who's not, expectations, stuff like that. And then next season is the season where I could probably be decently versed enough to where maybe I'll publish an article or two under the MLB tag. We'll see. We'll see. But my soggy toast is going to be the Atlanta Braves to start out. And like, I get it. Like the first week, 2 weeks of baseball, you have to take with an outrageous grain of salt.
Oh, very.
Because you're shaking off the rust. A lot of your star players, like they played in spring training, but did they really play? You're not rolling out your ace pitcher more than 2 or 3 innings.
Yeah,
you know, exactly. You're getting them warmed up. You're getting them comfortable with the game again, like an actual game setting. And then you're bringing in guys that are like from your AAA or guys that are rookies, guys that are going to be trying out.
Yeah,
things like that. That's more of what spring training is for. Or if you, in the instance of like my St. Louis Cardinals, they trade for Arenado, bring him in, get him with the team, get the chemistry up. That's what spring training is for. It's basically camp, but other teams are there too. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
But the Braves have been really disappointing. They're 2-4 to start out. From all the hype and hoopla about them being like, you know, second favorite out of the NL behind the Dodgers to make it out of the NL to the World Series. And they're up there with the Dodgers and the Yankees as like the favorites to make it and to win the World Series. Just been kind of putting up eggs. And the 2 wins that they haven't really been that impressive. You know, hitting wise, they just kind of, they seem inconsistent right now. And like I said, it's the beginning of the week, or it's the beginning of an extremely long season. We still have a long way to go before the fat lady is even starting to warm up to sing, you know. But still, if you're a Braves fan, it's disappointing. It's not the season you wanted to start out with. The person I feel most sorry for, which I don't feel sorry for him right now, is the guy that purchased like all of the symbol Atlanta Braves stock when MLB dropped, because I wanted to buy me some Braves stock, and I tried and I couldn't because he bought them all. So I went and I bought 2 Cardinal stock instead, which the Cardinal stock have actually been kind of nice because the Cardinals have been fairly decent. They've been playing the Marlins in this most recent series, so that's some easy wins right there because it's the Marlins. The Reds, however, oh my gosh, saw a statistic before we started. The Reds have scored 25 runs in less than 24 hours.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
They've caught fire right out of the gate with the bat.
Yeah, but again, that doesn't mean anything. The Reds, you know, they could be like 8-0, and then by the time they reach game 80, they've only won 20-25 games.
Yeah, don't worry.
That's the thing, and that's the thing about baseball, you know.
The Reds will be sellers at the deadline. I can almost guarantee you that.
Yeah. So, and like I said, again, it's just disappointing because when you have those expectations coming in, I feel like to casuals, which I guess I'm slightly above a casual maybe because I'm trying to like really pay extra attention. It's not just the Cardinals and I'm listening to everything else. I'm actively searching out these games to look for. It's just you want to see something better from a team with high expectations. But again, it's the first week, so I give them that pass. So the Braves, my soggy toast this week.
Hey, listen, there is plenty of season left, but yeah, no, I fully agree with you. The Braves. So you said they're 2-4. So then I know they played today. I think they won today. So they won 2 games.
Yeah, that was their second win.
Yes, because they started off 0-4, which is a little more alarming. So now they've won 2 games in a row. Now, like, okay, we're getting there. We're good.
Yeah, they were close though. Both of those games were close, and they're playing the Phillies right now. And the Phillies
are actually surprised the hell out of me. They're actually not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's been pretty good wins, but you know, again, first week, and they're supposed to be winning.
Oh no, of course. But I'll tell you right now, there's a There's a saying in baseball. You cannot win the World Series in March, April, May, but you can damn well lose it in March, April, or May. So as long as you stay, around 500 or a little above, you're gonna be okay. Just don't fall too far back. But I'll tell you this: a perfect example of overhype on the first like 2 weeks of baseball season. Almost every year, like clockwork, the Mets have been would get off to this crazy start. Like I think 3 years ago, I believe when Mickey Callaway was still coaching the team, they started off like 11-2, and you had, even Mets fans, they overreact to these incredible starts. They were going crazy. Oh, we're so good this year, yada yada yada. Yeah, well, they barely won 70 games at the end of the year. In a 162 game season, that's terrible. So, it's a long season. As I always say, don't get too into the wins and losses. I look more for into how the team wins and how they lose. Like for instance, the Yankees are actually the Yankees are on right now. Big Yankee fan, as most people know. The first game of the year was. I wasn't mad that they lost. Like I could really care less about the Yankees losing a regular season game. What ticked me off more was just the fact of how they lost. They lost with their bats going to absolute sleep, which is why we've lost in October for the past 4 years in a row. And it's just it's just one of those typical things where we just don't hit.
Yeah, I watched that game, and I was actually thinking about you. I was like, I wonder what's going through Anthony's head right now. When Aaron Judge twice stepping up to the plate with runners in scoring position, chance to make some noise, and just kind of lays an egg.
Yeah. No,
twice.
Believe me, I was
this is supposed to be an MVP candidate. This is supposed to be one of the best hitters, if not the best hitter in baseball. Obviously Mike Trout exists, but it's Mike Trout, then it's Aaron Judge. Okay, when it comes in minds, which of course there's a couple others, but Aaron Judge is one of the bigger names in baseball.
Yeah,
and the man just lays an egg twice, not once but twice.
See, and that was just what you seen. I was like, that game was so just in my head. I'm watching it. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening right now. The Yankees left, God, I think it was 9 runners on. We're 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position throughout the game. Left 19 men on base. It's just that type of game that pisses me off because that's how we lose in the playoffs every year. And I'm like, bro, it's the same approach. Stop swinging for the fences. All you need is a sac fly. I just want to see some situational hitting. It really blows my mind. And Judge too annoys the hell out of me because he likes to take pitches and work the count. I'm all for working the count, but when you got fastballs right down the middle and you're Aaron freaking Judge, you can barely hit the ball and put it out. Swing the bat, please. The ball's right down the middle of the plate. Swing the bat. And also on Aaron Judge, he decided that he needs the rest day today because he was a little sore on his left side. A guy who's 28 years old, is 6'7", and is 260 pounds of pure muscle. He's got a little sore on his left side. It hurts a little bit, So I'm going to take
literally playing the least physically demanding professional sport.
And yet the Yankees are the most hurt team every year. I don't understand. You stand around, move.
Have you seen Prince Fielder? Did you watch David Ortiz? Those are not world-class athletes.
The Kung Fu Panda, Pablo.
Yeah, Kung Fu Panda, yeah.
And they never get hurt. Those guys never got hurt.
CC Sabathia.
But CC Sabathia, who used to go into the dugout and drink an 18 rack right before you, during the game. Okay. And then I got Judge and Stanton, who you could look at them and be like, they are the just perfect specimens of physical fitness. Oh, I hurt my big toe last week. I'm out for 3 months. What the fuck? What, are you kidding me? That's the type of crap that happens with them all the time.
We need more Yankees talk on here. It's funny watching Anthony get riled up about the Yankees.
Oh, don't worry. Now that baseball started, it's gonna be. We might turn. My whole list might turn into a Yankees list from week to week. Oh man.
Oh,
but I'll give you. We'll go into my prediction. I'll give you guys my predictions. This one's gonna be for the NFL draft. I don't know if this prediction, more so a hope. I'm hoping and praying that the Giants can get that guy Slater from Northwestern. I
Mm.
I went ahead because I knew I know we're not going to get Sewell at 11. He's too good. He's too good of a player. I think the Bengals are probably going to take him. So my next best thing would be to get Slater, and I would love to have Slater. I watched some Northwestern, and man, oh man, this guy was good. Like I looked at him and I'm like, he's good. And that's like this is the first time in a long time I could say for the Giants, the only thing that we really need is offensive line. Like we've needed offensive line before, but that was on top of about 10 other things. Now we've cleared up 9 things, and now we just need offensive line help. So I would say get Slater. You could put him at right tackle, have Andrew Thomas at left tackle, and there you go. You got your 2 tackles of the next freaking 10, 11 years that you could just plug there and just leave. And, you could work them in the middle of the line. You could always work through that. But I'm always a big believer in getting your tackles right first before you start work. Interior line is but make sure your tackles are right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be one heck of a pickup if he was to slide to 11 and the Giants were to pick him up. Like, yeah, Giants fans everywhere should be over the moon doing backflips and in the streets parading.
Yeah,
that you got a guy that, be it Daniel Jones or another QB in the future, is going to be fairly well protected in ensuring that offensive line up. I do believe, like, importance wise in getting a good team is you go quarterback, offensive line, then you go secondary, pass rushing, and then skill position guys. If you got a good enough quarterback, you can compensate in between there until you get there, which, I mean, Trey may disagree with a lot of that, but that's how I built my Buffalo Bills, and we're in the playoffs, baby. In my head coach
circles
series.
the wagons. Nobody circles the wagons.
Exactly. So, but I also think that if a tackle's not available for the Giants to take, then I think you got to take best skill position player available.
Yeah,
be it
100%.
Because one of the 3 top receivers, be it Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, I don't think Jamar Chase falls. I think it's just whoever likes Waddle or Smith more.
Yeah,
that comes up, that's who goes there. And a lot of people think it'll be Jalen Waddle that goes first. A lot of people think that'll be Devontae Smith that goes first. So if one of the 2 tackles is not there for the Giants, take them. Or you could even if someone like Patrick Surtain drops to 11, that could be a viable option.
Listen, if
but
Patrick Surtain dropped to 11, that the secondary that we would have would be incredible. That Bradbury on one side, Surtain on the other, Logan Ryan and Brill playing. It'd be my secondary from the Super Bowls again.
Yeah, and then it would just be like, what would be Joe Judge's preference? Because you can grab another great receiver in the back part of the draft. You could always trade up to an early 2nd round pick and grab a good receiver. This is a really deep receiver class. Which I feel like receiver classes normally are pretty deep, especially when you get into like 2nd and 3rd round. You can find guys
where,
at good value.
That's where you find your true gems over in the 2nd and 3rd rounds.
Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, I kind of be with you. That would be really cool. But I mean, also you couldn't go wrong. Like if it's Patrick Surtain and Jalen Waddle right there, and you decide to go Jalen Waddle, you'd be like, well, of course, Jalen Waddle's on the board.
Yeah, I'd be happy with it.
But then it's like if you take, and it's like if Waddle's on the board and take Waddle, you're like, well, of course Waddle was on the board. Why would you not take him? But if you take Surtain and Surtain's there, and you're like, well, of course he takes Surtain. Why wouldn't you take Surtain? He's right there.
and I'm just over here just loving Alabama guys going to the Giants. Yes, I got him again.
All right, so going with my prediction, I'm going to come back to the NBA, and bold takes only here, although it's not looking so much like a bold take now. But, of course, we'll see. But I'm going to predict that not only do the New Orleans Pelicans not make the playoffs this season, they don't even make the play-in game, excuse me.
Oh, wow, that's rough.
They are not even the 10th seed, okay? I think they will be stuck at the 11th seed. They are 2.5 games back right now from Golden State. And Golden State had a great win last night. Steph is going to continue to carry those guys, and they're going to be good enough, okay? And then somehow the San Antonio Spurs are still up there, and it's 100% because of Popovich. Pop is probably the best coach in the NBA, and give him any group of guys and he's going to make them competitive, because that man doesn't coach to lose. He could easily lose with this roster and get a better chance at moving up in the draft and getting a solid player. But he's just like, no, I want to win. And then of course, you've got the Mavs at 7. They're the Mavs. They may be a little bit underperforming right now compared to like where people are hyping them up to be, but they're still a fantastic team. And of course, my Memphis Grizzlies
playing great of late.
They've been playing great recently. Yeah, they weren't at the beginning of the season, but they're picking it up now. And then my Memphis Grizzlies right now are playing phenomenal basketball, and that is still with Jaren Jackson Jr. out, who is the number 2 guy, and honestly, if you ask me, will probably be the number 1 scoring option in the future, just because he is a 6'10", 6'11" big man that has a range that is just ridiculous. If you want to know the man's range, go watch his 43-point game last season against Milwaukee. Literally went toe for toe with Giannis, blow for blow, and it was his second year in the league. And he went up against an MVP and hung in there. Man's got heart. He's coming back this month. Team's playing great all around. So, and of course, I'm going to be a homer and I'm going to root for my guys. But New Orleans, just again, I've talked about them all season long. They've been super disappointing, and I'm tired of them getting rammed down in my throats. And this would just be the ultimate justice and middle finger to the NBA. I'd be like, stop forcing me to watch the Pelicans. Let me watch other teams. Let me watch teams that are actually competing for a playoff spot. I'm not saying it has to be the Grizzlies. They're the second smallest market in the league next to New Orleans, but there's no reason why New Orleans should be a 6-7 team below 500 and get 15, 20 ESPN games and another 10 games on TNT and another 5 games on NBA TV. Get them out of my face.
Absolutely.
I'm sick of it.
Absolutely.
Let them figure it out first. Let them get the 8 seed, and then you can shove them down my throat and be like, Zion's going to be the next big thing. He's not even going to get to play LeBron this offseason because the Lakers aren't going to be the 1 seed. So it's not like he's going to be able to play LeBron.
I mean, hey, well, the Lakers are you just made me go and look at the standings, and I didn't realize like how far we've been sliding without AD and LeBron. I think I'm gonna fly to LA and give Anthony Davis my right leg, and I'm gonna give LeBron my left leg. Like we need them on the court now. I just looked at that, and now I'm starting to get a little nervous. Okay, so if anyone knows LeBron Anthony Davis personally, tell them to reach out to me. I got 2 legs that they can take. But it'd be funny about that Pelicans thing. Adam Silver would just come up out of nowhere like 2 weeks for the playoffs, and he's like, all right, guys, we're extending the extended playoffs now. Instead of 10 teams, we're putting in 12, and it's like, oh my god, enough.
No. Here's the thing. It's like somehow someone on the Grizzlies, the Spurs, the Warriors, and the Mavs are all gonna come down with COVID. Like somebody's going to have a positive COVID test, and there's going to be contact tracing. And the only choice to put in the playoffs is going to be the Pelicans.
I guess the Pelicans.
Pelicans get the 8 seed. Oh no.
Oh man. I would just love for them to like actually be good for the amount of times that they're on my TV screen. Like, sure, Zion's exciting. Zion's exciting to watch, but like other than that, like I mean, the team just sucks. They always lose. Like Zion could drop 38 and 15 and they would still lose the game somehow.
Because that has happened this season. He has dropped over 30 points and had high rebounds and assist totals, and they get clapped by like 15 points.
Exactly. Well, to a good NBA playoffs and to the Giants and the Dolphins doing well in the draft. That is all for Toast Time this week, guys. Don't forget, like and subscribe to the video. Also, go and check out Symbol, as I basically say every week, because why not? Go and use our promo code. You'll get $10 deposit bonus when you sign up and deposit first amount of money in there. So go on, make some money, buy some teams you love, and watch stocks always go up. So until next week,